Ding.
Nah, it never gives me the ding anymore. I just can't figure it out. Who cares? There we go.
This week on the Squatchers Lounge podcast, David and the Reverend Jeff dust off their gear and talk about the spring gear check. That's right. It's time for what you lost, what you broke, what molded, and will your fire start kit actually start a fire? Hashtag important. And about 2 weeks worth of news, so that might take a while. Bear with. And now the man who knows better than to go camping with a tent your cat may or may not have peed on, the Reverend Jeff Kelly.
That's right. Make sure you don't go camping with a tent your cat may or may not have peed on. Oh my God. Welcome back, everybody, to the Squatchers Lounge podcast. That's right. We are your hosts. I am the Reverend Jeff Kelly, and over there is the greatest announcer man in Squatchers Lounge podcast history, Dr. David Batdorf, Esquire, pseudoscientist. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Ready to practice the pseudoscience on this episode.
Pseudoscience.
I will dispense pseudoscience.
One at a time, we're going to see what the news has missed us while we have been on spring hiatus. And boy, am I glad to be back. That's right. Here we go, folks, with a ton of news. Starting out, of course, we usually get this scientific Americana. Torsoon could overrun the Galapagos, killing its famous biodiversity. A recent rise in visitors could ruin the famous biodiversity hotspot in only a few years. At the southern tip of the island of Santa Cruz in the Galapagos, a gorge known as the Las Gretas is home to a specific parrotfish, a brilliantly colored creature about 18 inches in length. The pool where the fish live was created long ago when large waves spilled over the ocean, raised an edge into the deep crevice. Today, it's refreshed by rainwater that seeps through the porous volcano rock that forms the steep gorge. And through it all, the small parrotfish population has been evolving in that pool. Its water so clear, one can see through more than 65 feet to the vertebrates lurking at the bottom. That's right. So it's so beautiful that we're going to screw it all up by going to see it one time too many.
I like, you know, that is like hashtag bucket list. I mean, like, this is would it be an amazing thing to do? But if we all do it, we'll break it. And yeah. the cool thing about the Galapagos isn't just like a tourist destination spot. It is it's an island in the middle, like isolated. It's like finding an alien territory where life somehow is evolved differently than anywhere else on the planet because of its isolation. It piqued the interest of Charles Darwin himself to write The Origin of Species. It started his brain down the pathway of evolution. So let's just all go there.
Yeah, him and that damn beagle.
And poop all over everything.
Right.
And
let's bring our motorboats there and drip gasoline into the water so that we can all go look at the pretty parrotfish that won't be there next time.
I think another article that I sent you that we're not going to go over, because we send articles back and forth on a weekly basis. So we've been off for a few weeks, basically. So a lot of articles. But one of them was like that you can't even like traverse like Mount Everest without getting hepatitis anymore because of all the shit that we've left on that horse.
That's right.
It's a trail of human feces to the top.
You can literally follow Hannibal's army through the mountains by following the trail of poop.
Yeah, we sent each other that one too. Yeah, you just follow the elephant shit from where the elephant shouldn't be and the human feces, and that's where Hannibal's path. Perfect. Thank you. Is that even geology? I don't even know what that is, but it happened and it's a thing. And yeah, we got to stop pooping everywhere.
Everywhere. Okay? That's right. All right, moving right along. Bonobos, as Dr. Batdorf likes to call them, use sex to cool tempers. That right? This was one of the coolest things that I remember about the bonobos when they discovered them in the wild, especially. Like if there's a big nasty brawl up, instead of it ending like the chimpanzees with one beating his stick into the other one's head until it's bloody, nah, one rolls over on its back and the other one likes to hump it. And it doesn't matter if it's girl on girl, dude on girl, girl on dude. It's all about the humping.
Yep.
Wow.
It could be, vaginal, anal, or oral stimulation. It doesn't matter. I mean,
Nobody cares.
They got opposable thumbs. I mean, I'm sure that's good too.
It's a Friday night at the sex club, buddy. Woo!
Masturbate. Hey, that works for me.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
So, moving right along. Trying to get through them, guys. We got a whole lot. I know. We might be wrong about why the dinosaurs actually went extinct. Now, I like these ideas because we think it was an asteroid, but we don't really know that it was an asteroid. How the dinosaurs went extinct is a contentious topic of endless scientific debate. Were they killed by a giant asteroid, a rash of volcanic eruptions, or some deadly combination of the two? Or perhaps we've been thinking of the problem all wrong. It wasn't just a cataclysmic event that did the dinosaurs in. These were the final nail in the coffin. The lineage had already been crumbling for millions of years. The idea isn't new, but the study published in the Proceedings of the National Academics of Sciences today offers the strongest evidence yet that the extinction of the dinosaurs was less like a healthy tree getting toppled by a chainsaw and more like a sickly one blowing over and just plain dead.
Pretty much. And this is the sort of thing that, like, when you stop to think about it and you look at the, empirical evidences, you're like, well, okay, no shit, that makes total sense now. It's like, oh, so this asteroid thing and this constant eruption of volcanic ash, it changing the environment and causing greenhouse effect to kill all the plant life that the herbivores died off, and then the carnivores died off, and yada yada. So we were already thinned for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years, and then these other cataclysms happened. Okay, that makes total sense all of a sudden. And
right.
But brings clarity back to that whole thing. It's like, well, if birds are descendants of dinosaurs, why didn't dinosaurs have feathers, huh? Well, the fuck they did. So
they may have. We still haven't figured that part out yet.
Yeah, so here we are again. Like, well, maybe, just maybe, evolution wasn't so kind to the dinosaurs, and then a giant rock hit the Earth, clouding it for 30,000 years.
It made it a little bit difficult to breathe if you weren't a mammal.
Yeah, if you didn't like to hide underground and you weren't, specialized in some way, you're pretty much
6 ounces. Yeah, you were pretty much out. Okay, check that one out.
Yeah, which was not the greatest of the great dyings, by the way. So it's very, very interesting and cool stuff.
Oh my God. A friggin' escaped chimpanzee on a telephone pole in Japan. Are you effing kidding me, dude? No, sir. I'm not going up there. I don't care if it's my duty or my destiny. No, I am not going up there and getting the angry chimpanzee off of the electric wire. Somebody's going to have to shoot that thing with a dart, and we're going to have to watch it fall into a net or something. There's plenty of other options other than my dumb ass going up there in a bucket with a broom handle to mess with a chimpanzee.
If anybody can imagine being this guy and seeing this exact, like, you know how time slows down when you're in stressful situations, and seeing this face coming at you, trying to grab you, and you're like, okay, the Rise of the Planet of the Apes ain't got shit on this right now.
No. This is like horribly scary. That thing's ready to heat his face off, bro.
Yeah,
I mean, that's...
I don't know in Japanese, how do you say the fuck down?
Yeah, that's okay. I don't know either, but
yeah, bucket truck, not a good idea in this exact scenario.
It does say here that it was eventually tranquilized and caught without any reported injuries, but experts also say that it will continue to haunt your nightmares until the day you die. Thank you. And good night. No, okay. Hey, the people over at Gizmodo, and we like Gizmodo, ask, hey, what about the hosts of Find the Bigfoot? Why does it take so damn long. Finding Bigfoot, one of Animal Planet's most popular shows, has been on the air for 5 years and has clocked nearly 100 episodes, none of which, despite the sheer amount of cameras involved, feature any footage of the
or the
giant
name
ape.
of the show.
So when they
I guess
talk
they're talking
to
about the process of finding Bigfoot, not actually finding Bigfoot. But
you know, and that's the thing. I think they're just going all over the country showing everybody that, you know, it's the same creature and they're the same areas and the same things that they're trying to get through. You know, they're living in the same places. They're living in the same kinds of environments. Everywhere they go, the stories are always the same. It's just strange that after all those investigations that not even one solid bit of evidence has come out of finding Bigfoot yet.
but we're never going to find that. But what we do really have here is, I mean, you know, Cliff's basically wearing the same jacket since season 1, and Bobo's got the same dog pretty much season 1. Renee, same haircut since season 1. Matt Moneymaker, oh my god, he's like a chameleon.
He is a completely different person than he was in season 1. That is for sure. You can check out the full article, of course, over at Gizmodo. Here's one from Cliff Brackman's blog directly at cliffbrackman.com. Why don't you look for Bigfoot during the day? I got news for you people. We do, and a lot. Most of the time, that's the only time I look for Bigfoot. But as he writes, a lot of folks write to him and they ask, they had their encounter or sighting during the day. So why don't they look for Bigfoot during the daytime? Well, because the data shows that Bigfoots are probably more active at night. And if they aren't more active, they seem to be a bit more willing to approach closely at night. And that's why he thinks you're more likely to find them at night than you are during the day if you're doing investigations. I kind of agree with that. And they are totally more comfortable of approaching your camp at night or your investigation at night, as long as you're not being jackasses.
Well, therein lies the rub, because I choose to be a jackass usually. So there you go.
Well, you know, that's the whole thing. If you're being a loud jackass, you're probably going to miss your encounter. I mean, that's the long and the short of it. But you can check that one out at cliffbrackman.com. Yay, orangutans. Malaysian palm oil giant loses 7 more customers over RSPO suspension. Hershey's, Yum Brands, and Johnson & Johnson are just some of the last to get off of the palm oil friggin' wagon. It is about time, because this is what's killing half the orangutans in the country in Sumatra is this damn palm oil crap, because all these little farmers go out there and they knock down a bunch of jungle and they put up a bunch of palm oil trees, and you know, that's how they make their money, just like the cocaine trees in South America. Well, you know, palm oil, everybody wants palm oil, so I can sell it to this guy, who can sell it to that guy. And these guys are getting pennies on the dollar, man. Pennies on the dollar, what they're getting in the long run for the farmers. And they're the ones that are killing off the orangutans, are chasing them out of their environment. So it's good news to see that big companies like Hershey and Yum and Johnson & Johnson are getting the hell off that bandwagon.
It would be nice. The more people that drop off, and it's sad to say, but the big companies that you question their ethics sometimes, because they're so large and they have to do things a different way, then these are the ones that if they get off the bandwagon, it will like, well, I'm just doing it because, I mean, Hershey's doing it. They're doing it even worse. Yeah, I'm small potatoes. That's not even a big deal. When Hershey gets off, all of a sudden the small potatoes become big potatoes, and hopefully more people get off board. I don't want to see the Sumatran peoples and farmers destitute, but I do want to see them actually get maybe fair wage. Let's say free trade palm oil coming to you, coming to the grocery store to you soon, right?
That's right. In your peanut butter next week.
Yeah.
Look up the story of Strawberry, the orangutan. On
once Food Babe and Whole Foods gets a hold of like the benefits of palm oil extracts and the skin and whatnot, we'll be fucking fine.
Right. So that's absolutely good news. Moving right along here, the Oh, crap. That's right. The other one. The pyrophilic primate. That's right. Chimpanzees lighten the world on fire, a tool broadly used for cooking, constructing, hunting, and even communicating, was arguably one of the earliest discoveries in human history. But when, how, and why it came to be used is hotly debated among scientists. New scenarios crafted by the anthropologists proposed that human ancestors became dependent upon fire as a result of Africa's increasingly fire-prone environment 2 to 3 million years ago. David and I have our own theories on why we, come to use fire, but my personal thing is, the idea of food poisoning. They see that you're getting worms from that food over there, but he's not getting worms from that food that's off of that happened from the fire over there. And I think we're smart enough to really get the idea that if you cook the meat, it's not going to have worms in it anymore. And I'm pretty sure that's why we still do it today. But that's just me. But there's lots of theories, and this is a new one.
Yeah. So there's a couple things that happen, and whether we want to think about ourselves or other animals as containing sugars and fats, rendering sugars and fats and the caramelization that happens is pleasant to most things. And caramelizing it to the point of charring isn't pleasant to us because we understand that if you cook it just right, it's much better. But caramelization to the point of charring is probably good. But also there's this other aspect that, it could be just that there's maggots on this piece of meat, but most of it's pretty good, and you could burn the maggots off. And then the parasites, whether it's tapeworm or just straight up like fly larva eating this shit, you can burn it off and eat it, and it's still good. Right. Which is not, in this day and age, not something that we're interested in at all. But think about life or death situation. If you have some maggoty meat and know that you can burn the shit out of that and eat it like jerky safely. All right.
Right. The Matthew McConaughey of friggin' primates. But check it out. This one's at Science Daily. Of course, now we're moving on to The Guardian. Neanderthals may have died of diseases carried by humans from Africa. Well, son of a what, man? Every time we turn around, look at that. There's another guy dying because humans are here. Diseases and infections passed on by the ancestors of modern humans when they moved out of Africa and into Europe may have helped wipe out the Neanderthals who previously dominated their continent. Yeah, baby.
So other articles talking about the X and Y chromosomes and of Neanderthal, and why the father of Neanderthal didn't jive with, didn't pass on correctly into the sperm of the hybrids, yada yada yada. There's a lot of diseases that we don't have as modern peoples because of the Neanderthals. We got a lot of that DNA, and those are the sorts of things like natural selection. I mean, okay, so if you're mostly resistant to, like, I'm just going to pick a random, like, tuberculosis, right? Like, if you're mostly resistant to tuberculosis and there's no modern medicine, you're going to survive-ish, right? So that was important to take on, but we weren't passing on these other traits, and vice versa. But what we can't study in the Neanderthal is what, we know that there are certain aspects of the Neanderthal that we took on that were negative, and certain aspects that we took on that were positive, depending on your variants, yada, yada, yada. We could look at all that. But what happened to them was probably that they didn't get the best parts of our resistance to the diseases that we brought to them, because there was obviously this interesting transference that mathematically can't be explained as a one-way street. Why all of a sudden, hey, a Neanderthal male can breed with the modern human female, Homo sapien female, but when they have offspring, they're not going to have Neanderthal Y chromosomes passed on. Very, very complicated and very complex, but interesting. But there's so many things that happen out there. Like, it totally makes sense that disease could have wiped them out just based on a one-way street of a very simple aspect of our evolution, which is sex and the transference of genes through sperm as mammals, right? I mean, it's a very simple thing, but it's very important.
Oh my God, it sure is. So speaking of sex and things that might or might not work, I'm going to skip that one, David. The humans, the modern human females and male Neanderthals had trouble making babies.
Oh,
Here's
I jumped to the next one. Here's
That's
why.
okay. Yep. After years of sequencing the genomes of female Neanderthals, researchers have finally got their first good look at the Y chromosome of the male Neanderthal and found out that it is unlike that of any other Y in modern humans living today, even though Neanderthals and modern humans interbred several times in the past 100,000 years. The DNA on the Y chromosome from the male Neanderthal who lived at El Cidron, Spain, 49,000 years ago had not been passed on to modern humans. Researchers report today in the American Journal of Human Genetics the finding fits the earlier studies that have found that although living Asians and Europeans have inherited 1 to 3% of their DNA from their ancestors interbreeding with Neanderthals, they are missing chunks of Neanderthal DNA at their Y chromosomes. This has suggested that the male modern humans and male Neanderthals are not fully compatible.
So it's not that okay, so there was probably lots of inbreeding, probably lots of sex, but what they're saying is that, and what's still hotly debated, is whether or not a Neanderthal male could have a viable offspring with a modern human female.
But modern human men could most definitely produce offspring with the Neanderthal females. The problem was with the Neanderthal Y crossing with the modern human X.
Which
it's just so damn confusing. Read the articles, people.
Yeah,
it'll make a whole lot more sense than we can explain it to you in a couple of minutes. But
the whole idea is that where that problem occurs is in the passing on through the hybrid population, and then reuptaking back into the modern human. Like, I'm sure that if a Neanderthal male had sex with a modern human female, that they would make a zygote, that person would have a baby, and then that person would probably shoot out the Y chromosome of modern Homo sapiens because of the way that was set up. And that's more likely, and this is what they're debating, and how science reporting is always a little bit wrong. It's not that, okay, well, male Neanderthals couldn't mate with human babies. No, it's about the hybrid. It's about, like, they probably could, and it's about what came out of the hybrid, and eventually that just totally, like, it shuns the Neanderthal, which makes sense if you're going to wipe them out through a sexual process, right? So, ta-da! Here you go.
Totally makes a whole lot of sense now. Humans spread through South America like a virus that we are. That's right. It took humans a long time to reach South America, but once they got there, they spread like weeds. Literally, a new study of researchers tallied up 1,147 archaeological sites that had been radiocarbon dated to between 14,000 years ago, right around the earliest known settlements in South America, and 2,000 years ago. By mapping those sites, the scientists can see where people lived and when. The density of settlements increased rapidly and steadily from 13,000 to 9,000 years ago as humans spread to every corner of the unoccupied continent and learned to take advantage of its resources. That's right, people. We're like a virus. We infect, then we suck it all dry.
Well, not exactly. Not until... I mean, these were people that were probably living off of the land very judiciously. Population didn't really exist as it did in the modern European settlements, and was probably sustainable. But yes, we did spread out through the world to infect all of it eventually later on. But my guess is that until the Spanish got to South America, we really didn't have a population problem.
That's the key thing being there. Okay.
They used to at least sacrifice and the excess. Anyway.
Australian Geographic tells us 80 rhinos are heading for Australia in a bold move to save the species. I gotta ask, what the hell took y'all so long? I mean, if you can't protect them where they are, take them somewhere where you damn well sure can protect them. In a world first conservation effort, 80 African rhinos will be flown to Australia over the next 4 years to establish an insurance population for the threatened mammals. And this ambitious mission, costing $70,000 per rhino, which is totally supportable, and requiring each animal to spend several months in quarantine under the watchful eye of the South African and Australian Departments of Agriculture. Are you kidding me? Several months? Really? Jackasses. Not gonna hurt. Anyhow, the Australian Rhino Project was founded in 2013 by South African-born Australian Ray Dearlove with the aim to establish a breeding herd of black and white rhinos in Australia that will be able to be reintroduced into Africa once the threat of poaching decreases. That is damn good news.
Yes. So we have a rhino farm.
A rhino farm, yeah, but they're going to put these things in some kind of friggin' quarantine for months? Really? Poor things.
Yeah, the whole thing has some issues. It seems like they could do that same thing in Africa.
Well, if they could just get rid of the poachers, that would be, part of the problem. But
if you can put up a gate to keep a rhino out, and you can't put up a gate to keep a poacher out, well, the problem is the type of gate that you're putting up, I suppose.
Yeah, most likely. A question for you: can oarfish predict earthquakes?
Yes.
I don't know, but somebody needs to freaking figure it out pretty soon, because the Pacific Rim is on fucking fire. Holy crap, there's been like 9 earthquakes over the weekend. If you consider a 7.0 earthquake and a 6.7 aftershock hours later, no, that's not an aftershock. That's another friggin' earthquake. There's been like 9 earthquakes in the last 6 days all around the Pacific plate. And I just want to know, is California falling into the ocean next? I'm not sure. Look for the oarfish up on the shores.
Any fucking time, any fucking day, I'll see you down in Arizona Bay.
That's right. I got some ocean.
Learn to swim. See you down in Arizona Bay. That's the one. So can animals, like seismic activity creates waves in the soil, which creates waves in the ambient environment, and whether that is H2O or NO3, like it creates waves that could be that are perceivable and transfer actually faster through water than they do through air. Like the key is that is creating a sound. And if anybody's ever been in an earthquake, you know that there is an associative sound to an earthquake. And so are some animals attracted to that? Well, I'm not sure, but definitely I wouldn't predict an earthquake by running towards it.
Right. Exactly. So if you find any oarfish washed up on the beach, there's probably an earthquake coming somewhere. Hey, we can wrap it up, David. It's over. Apparently, the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, he has cited a Yeti family. This was posted April 4th. Dear Bigfoot enthusiasts around the world, this article was published in Siberian Times at end of March 2016 and caught my attention. Bigfoot is a name given to the mythical ape or hominid-like creature. It is said to inhabit forests, mainly in the Pacific Northwest and in the Himalayan regions named Yeti. The North American folklore Bigfoot is usually described as a large and hairy hominid. Anyhow, what in the world here? It said that the Russians' best-known Yeti hunter, Igor Burstev, head of the Russian International Center of Hominology, has previously estimated that there are many as 30 Yetis to roam a region. 30? Igor? 30. Really, that's really quite interesting. So apparently we can just give it up. Vladimir Putin says that he and an entourage saw an adult male and female and smaller child Yeti at a distance of about 150 meters, said Dmitry Ivanov, a national park wildlife expert who was with the group. So it comes straight from the Putin. It's over. Yetis are real.
Or some dude who was with the Putin.
Or some dude with the Putin said that the Putin said that he saw.
Said the Putin said through Igor Burstev that.
That's crazy.
Hominids. So anyway,
30 of them living in a region, huh, Ivan? Dude, how did they live that long? How long?
I think. Well, yeah. So the whole region thing. What is the? So I rule the region of my music/podcast room. Yes, this region. There's at least one of me. Well, there's only one human in this region, and it is me.
Yeah, if you want the link to this one, I can't read it. It's in some kind of Russian language. Let me know, and I'll be glad to send you the link sometime. Finally, here our northern family to the north, Canada, America's hat, is at it again. I wanted to let everybody know here on the Canadian 1 ounce pure Canadian silver, they put the Sam Squanch again. That's right. You can actually get it from now until they run out of them. They're like $25 a piece, which is not a bad deal for a 1 ounce silver at this point. It's the investment of the future, and it's got a Sam Squanch on it. Ha ha!
Aha!
Finally, that brings us to the end of the news. This is the part where we're going to give the shout outs to the people that have been so nice to hang out in the lunacy of the Squatchers Lounge podcast live chat room. How you doing out there, everybody? Let's see who's hanging out tonight. Rod Dupree is always first in the house. How you doing, buddy? Glad you're out there. Starshine, I can see you finally put up a picture of yourself, and you're definitely a chick. I feel a whole lot better about that. Dave Jackson, how you doing, buddy? You're hanging out there as well. Everybody shows up early to chat. That's awesome. Collier Williams, that's right. Boss of the Woods. Oh, that's going to be cool. I can't wait to see your podcast, man. Make sure I get a link to that as well. Let's see who else is hanging out there tonight. I know Dave Jackson is out there. I finally see a Dean Cooper hanging out. There's going to be another Dave. It's going to get really confusing here in just a little bit. There's Dave Stump and Dave Jackson, so I know that I got both of you covered. There's other people coming along here. Finally, we get to the start of the show, so there's more people out there. Oh, my God. What the heck does that say? Katniss Plays. Hey, glad you finally make it. Bigfoot Campfire Stories. There's another one coming tomorrow, sweetheart. Let's see who else is hanging out there in the lounge hangout. Anna Baz is back tonight. Boy, she likes us. That's great. Rocky City Marco. Rock City Marco, not Rocky. Rock City Marco. That's the one. He's out there as well. Good grief, this is a long chat room tonight. I don't want to miss anyone, because if I skip any, Squatchy Inc., there's our old pal Wes. That's right, WesLosner.com. Get your Squatchers Lounge podcast prints ordered from there as well. God, who else is hanging out there tonight? You guys really, really chat a lot. Jason Gerd, glad you're out there. I don't remember seeing you, so I'm glad to see you out there for the first time. Lots of people stop in for the first time. Don't know if they come back, but we'll see. And that looks like the end of it. Jesus, David, take it away, man. Ooh. We're talking about early squatching equipment, man. Is your spring gear ready? Because I just got back from the Sierras, and mine was not. I had plenty of things that were a fail.
This is the time of year where we come up against it's time to go. Is your shit ready? Well, I was actually thinking, no, mine is not. It's been packed away. What's molded? What did I break? What's wrong with my stuff? So it was a good time to just like throw up the red flag and be like, hey, everybody, check your stuff. What, you know, all my hammocks working? Are some of my hammocks working? Where is everything? Did I break? What did I break? Like, where's my? I had a lot of stuff actually like malfunction over the last few times I was out camping and whatnot, and it's still like that. So this is the time where you got to kind of reassess, make your list, go through your stuff. What's important to you? Is it important to you to have, a full on, like, are you going to go survival mode and be able to go and do your survivalism, like, tactical, go bag kind of scenario and have fun out in the woods and play army and do all that? Or do you just want to go car camping? What do you need? Is it working? I mean, the most basic thing, like, did your cat pee on your tent? Did you put it away wet when you don't go out there with a tent if you haven't opened it up. Don't lay in your hammock if you haven't put it down. Don't imagine that all of your stuff is going to be in the same state that you put it away in, because sometimes that doesn't happen.
I can attest to that right there. I mean, we decided to go squatching over the weekend up to the high Sierras, and in April it was doubtful that we'd actually be able to get really, really high, but we did manage to get up there. But anything above 6,500 feet was pretty much closed out with snow. 5 feet of snow or better, 6,500 feet or better were on our particular mountain. We couldn't get any higher than that, so we stayed right about that level in the snow. If it had rained, it would have snowed on us, but we waited a weekend, so we were out of the actual weather. But at night, it was 25 when we were standing by the fire, and by the time the fire went out and we all laid down, it was probably 19-ish, 18-ish degrees. Now, that's not something you want to be hanging in a hammock for, and I knew that. So I say, hey, I'm going to go tent camping this time. Now, I didn't have a cot to keep me up off the ground, so I went and got one, and I didn't buy the cheapest one. I bought a medium cot, and I gotta tell you, people, that was glamping to me. Oh my God, was that the most comfortable night's sleep I have had in a tent in my entire life. Those Coleman cots. Don't buy the medium one though. Get the deluxe. It's worth it. Anyhow, what I didn't know was my tent didn't have a very good rain fly. And the reason I didn't know this, because I'm a hammock camper, and for the last 3 seasons, I haven't gone snow camping, so I haven't used this particular tent. I bought it for a trip to go on with some friends that they needed a tent. So I just bought this tent and said, here, use this 3-man tent. The 3 of you can lay in it. Everything will be cool. And it was. For a couple of seasons, they used it. I didn't even think about it. So I laid it all out. It was all complete. It wasn't stinky. It wasn't moldy. Everything was there. I just didn't realize that it was one of those short rain flies that doesn't cover the entire tent. It just covers like the top of the dome, like where the mesh is. And the first night, the dew set in on us, and my sleeping bag was up against the edge of the tent, which wicked water in over the top of the sleeping bag from the side, and it literally froze my beard. Well, it didn't freeze my beard. It soaked my beard, soaking wet in freezing temperatures, but the beard never froze solid. Yeah, I really, really need a new tent. That's where I have to start. Number one, if I'm going to go back snow camping again in those kind of temperatures, I need a better walled system.
There's a lot of aspects to cold weather camping that we can't avoid, but the things that you can avoid are moisture, which is your biggest enemy, and then even in no matter how deluxe your cot may be, like, air underneath you that's one added layer of compressed fabric.
Well, that was the thing was, What the cot was, it came with the pad. So you were sleeping on a pad that was on top of the cot already. So you've already got one layer of blocking, and then you're compressing your sleeping bag again. But honestly, I tried an underquilt the second night. It didn't make a difference. It was still just balls ass cold.
Just cold.
It was just balls ass cold, bro. And at one point, I mean, the first night it was so cold that we were all almost. I shivered. I was fully dressed. I had overalls on, 6-ounce polyfill overalls over top of that, a jacket with a hood and a beanie over top of that, in my 40-degree sleeping bag with it zipped up, and I actually shuddered once or twice when the wind blew in from across the water. I mean, that's literally how blistering cold it got on us that first night. And thank God the wind wasn't blowing. If the wind had been blowing, we would have literally had to stay up all night and kept the fire going. I mean, that's what would have happened. I was almost so cold that I was going to get up and get the fire going again because it was almost too cold to lay in the tent.
Hey, worst case scenario, that is an option though. Like, always remember, like, a restoke on the fire and staying up with the fire is not the worst option. But
you can always sleep during the day when it warms up. You can get your rest and stay up all night. If it's going to be blistering that cold and you're not prepared to be able to stay in that, then stoke the fire up, sit in your sleeping bag while you're by the fire and stay warm. Sleep next to the fire if you have to. Keep the fire going. You can keep a fire going big enough that you could lay in your sleeping bag next to the fire on the ground, and the ground will keep you warm all night long. But, don't be stupid about it. Don't lay in your tent and shiver if it's really that cold. That's just ridiculous.
Exactly. Well, also don't. I wouldn't go on a big off-trail soiree unless I had just take a GPS unit with you in your car, throw it in the glove box, turn it on, and track your path and see if that matches up to what you just did. Check all of your gear, every single piece of gear that you plan on taking up. Check it and make sure it's going to perform the way that you want to do, because I mean, honestly, people, we can hurt ourselves out there. So
Justin got out there. He's got a great tent. He's got his nice Browning hunting tent. So everything was set up. Come to find out, the zipper on his bag was broken. I mean, you go from holy crap, I'm going to be nice and warm and sweating in my tent tonight, to my zipper's broken on my sleeping bag. What the F am I going to do now? I'm hours up in the woods and there's no place to get another sleeping bag. That's the kind of things that we were running into out there. Now, at one point the first night, after the dew had set in and my beard was absolutely soaked, I finally did find my towel and I laid it around my friggin' beard so that it wouldn't freeze friggin' my face off throughout the night. But the tent was filled with condensation with every breath that moved in and out of my mouth. It was absolutely that friggin' cold. Hey, while I am thinking about it right now, I've actually got a few pictures that I can share with you guys out there. And from this first investigation up there, the Sierras were beautiful. We couldn't get into our usual locations that we usually use because the snow just kept us blasted out. We even tried with the 4x4 quad to get up to them, and it literally was nearly impossible to get through that 5 feet of snow and get anywhere near to where we usually go and look for the Sasquatches up there in the mountains. But what I do have here, there's a couple of shots I can bring up for you and share. I don't want to share too much about where our location was because, hey, fair is fair. You guys don't share your locations with me that often. But this is what we investigated this past weekend. I mean, the snow torrents were this wasn't even a creek. This was literally a snow torrent coming through where we camped. It just was absolutely amazing territory. There's the Smeha. There's our buddy John, and there is the creek. That's the actual creek. So what you saw before was a water torrent. This is the creek. I think the next one, yeah, I mean, you can just see how much downed wood there is from all the snow load and everything else. It was an amazing place to be, and we were literally right in the that was actually a good video of a large primate walking through the forest. But if you look at him, that's what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for it covered in completely covered in hair.
I'm not seeing that for some reason. Hopefully in the post that shows up.
Well, if not, we'll see what happens. Sometimes the video doesn't run as clearly as we'd like it to here on YouTube. That's one thing they need to improve. So back to what do you think, man? Spring squatching gear. Make sure you know your nighttime temperatures. That's very, very important. Also, if you're going up into snow country, take starter logs. Dun, da, da, da. If we hadn't had a starter log the first night, we would have been screwed. My starter log saved the day once again, David. Actually, the same starter logs that saved the day up there for us last summer.
Because we bought a whole case. Yeah.
That's right. The leftover one saved us today.
Well,
saved us.
Yeah. So spring squatching, I mean, it is no picnic. It's still cold. You're getting out there for the first couple times. But you got to know that the gear has to be different now than it was in July. I mean, no brainer. But also, right now is the time when your gear is most apt to fail. So you have to break it out, open it up, set it up, air it out. Do whatever you got to do to make sure that it's ready to go before you go out there with it. And that's we're not doing camping tips for stupid and trying to be tongue-in-cheek about this. Like, it can save your life. Making sure that shit works right. Like, if you've had your sleeping bag compressed over all winter and it's not gonna actually, you're like, the loft won't come back, and you go out there and it's cold, that's a life-threatening situation if you get away from the fire and you fall asleep and you're not.
Yeah, it's great. It's great that your thigh is warm, but your kidneys aren't. If your fill is all falling to one side and it won't come back the way it's supposed to anymore, it's important that you keep your gear in good working condition. I love my sleeping bag. I got a Fat Man bag. It's one of the Coleman XLs, and dude, I can get into that thing with my boots on and zip that sucker straight up over the side, and I'm ready to go, and it just pulls right open. But like I said, Smeha got out there and his zipper had broken on his sleeping bag. Oh shit. Don't know it till he was out there either. I mean, yeah, we got through the night, but at 1.2, and he's a hard ass dude. I mean, he's slept out in the friggin' kill site, in November, but during a drought year. But that guy was he was the same way I was. I was almost up ready to get up and stealth that fire up and get a little warm for a while, because that was bad.
It's important. Like, that is important. Making sure you have everything. Like, that's the big deal. It's if I go out and all of a sudden I get up to the top of a mountain, I turn on my GPS and it's not working. Shit, I got some water in it. I don't have the right batteries. I don't have, you take your inventory, take good care to go over all of your gear. Look at your sleeping bag, look at the top, look at the bottom, look at the zipper. I mean, those malfunctions happen all the time. What's your backup plan? Do you have your first aid kit with a good emergency blanket in there? If what happens if I'm trying to think of a situation where you need that. Anyway, not doing it. But look at the situations where, hey, I need alternate plan B. It's like, okay, well, I have my fire start kit, but I also have this ferro rod. Do I have some cotton balls soaked in, petroleum jelly just to get that going too? Like, where's my plan B? Do I have that in place? And
yeah, like, I always take my Fat Man bag, but I've also got my quilted poncho liners. and my poncho. Worst case scenario, I can always make a ranger bag and climb inside of. If my sleeping bag fails, I can always make a ranger bag and climb inside of it. And usually in a camping situation like this, I bring 2 poncho liners, so I really could make a 50-degree bag out of a poncho and a couple of poncho liners and still be reasonably warm.
Yeah, but I'll be honest, 25 to like that 19 degrees, that is hard sleeping outside unless you were on the ground next to a fire with something that's not going to catch on fire, catching that heat and radiating down back onto you. I mean, that's a hard scenario to build.
And now the other thing that the fellas had said too is they had gone on a night hike the second night, and they had noticed they had gone up in elevation about 400 feet, and it was literally 15 degrees warmer up there than it was where we were. So if you get stuck in a situation where you're in a cold valley, you can always move, even if it's in the middle of the night. You can pick up your stuff and move to a warmer location. It's okay to be wrong and choose the wrong spot. Just don't be dumb and stay there. Staying in bad choices is what gets people harmed.
Exactly. And it's like the last summer when we went down to the Sierras and we were up on top of that hill and it was so hot and dry. And I'm like, man, everything right now during the daytime is down in those valleys because it's 10 degrees cooler and it's wet, and up here is just not. So knowing the environment, yeah, that's the big thing. Knowing where you are, looking around, trying to make those decisions, learning from past experiences. You know, I wouldn't have thought of that until I was up there in the Sierras, but that applies to everywhere, not just there. You know, learning those few key things that you can take with you, looking at your gear and getting back out there, because honestly, now is the perfect time. Now is the low elevation time. Now is when the low elevation is going to become viable, and it's hard to sleep up high, and you need to get down low and see what's. You could take the same spot right now where you're probably still looking at dried up dead stuff and just start camping there and keep going back and everything's going to start coming down to you. The hard part is to decide what it is that's coming down to you and not acquiescing to everything as a Sasquatch, and deciding what is a Sasquatch if there is one in your area. And then, you know, helping everybody else figure out what the difference is, I guess.
Well, yeah. And also remember, if you're out there doing springtime squatching, check your snow lines, check for animal tracks moving in and out of your snow lines, your mud lines. There's lots and lots of muddy, gooey stuff in places that usually aren't muddy and gooey during snow melts. Look in those kind of places for tracks, because we saw all kind of neat stuff up there, but the bears were still sleeping. Not a sign of a bear anywhere. And we were in the snow line, so of course that makes sense that there weren't any bear activity yet, because the snow is like literally like right now is the melt going on. So, you know, if you're going to see any large tracks moving around, you know, while the bears are sleeping, is your better chance to catch up on your Sasquatch track.
That is the bear waking up time, and bears that aren't having cubs at that time are probably heading downhill. And they're probably heading towards where the resources are going to be, or using what they can to start to, you know, wake up and eat again. So that's something to be conscious of too. Like springtime camping is the cautious camping. It can be cold. The weather could be dangerous. The bears are waking up. Other animals are waking up, which makes, like, wolves that eat the rodents that hibernate, also rabbits and squirrels and other things like that, are hungry, you know, like whatever. Like it's the time of revival. Like the food is almost going to be, like, we're at the point where the food is almost there and everything is waiting for it, it's ready for it. So it's a time that's important probably for Sasquatch too, like it's probably important for a lot of things, but also it's a good time to be very cautious, to check out your gear and to get out there. And that it's kind of our PSA. And well, yeah, Jeff and I are both doing that right now. Like we're checking our stuff before we get out there again.
That's it. We're going back in 3 weeks, and I have to be ready again. So I've got to make some purchases between now and then, so that I'm prepared. Because
make your modifications.
Yeah, it'll still be cold. It'll literally in 3 weeks' time, it'll still be 28 degrees out there at night. Now that's 10 degrees warmer than it was when we were out there this time. It's still balls ass cold.
And I'm a firm believer, man. If you buy a $15 wool blanket, put it underneath you in a 40-degree bag, you will be 10 degrees warmer, just because all of your heat falls into that wool and it's going to trap in the airspace in there. And you can't compress that. It might be uncomfortable unless you're wearing clothing, but then the clothing is going to so yeah, here's the deal. Like, don't let your bag do the deal. Clothing is a barrier to keep the heat in. Let your sleeping bag be what it's supposed to be. Let your loft be what it's supposed to be, and try to ditch the clothing as much as possible, because that will actually keep you warmer. You might have to keep on your socks or you're
out of your mind. You are so out of your yeah. That works when your sleeping bag works for the rating that you're at. If I was sleeping in 40-degree weather, you're absolutely right. I would have gotten out of most of what I was dressed in, but I didn't have a 19-degree bag, so I had to increase the warmth of my bag by the number of layers that were on my body. Basically, my sleeping bag was like a giant jacket come the end of it.
So I guess what I'm saying is allow the heat trap to be on top of you, but you have to, like, if you had taken your coat off, put it over the top of you and just been like bare underneath, but with a good support underneath, or taking your jacket, put it underneath you to block the air from leaving. That's what you're looking for. You know, sleeping on the ground is cool. Sleeping on a pad is better because it keeps the heat in the air in the pad that's underneath you. And I'm not talking about like a 4-inch, like, you know, queen pad. I'm talking about like, you know, roll out, like, you know, half-inch thermarest.
Like a thermarest,
yeah. But if you were to take off your clothes and put it underneath you as a way of keeping the heat inside, not letting it leach out underneath you, would be better than keeping it around you, because that barrier keeps the heat that you've trapped into your loft away from your skin and away from your ambient. You know, it's the same way, like, you know, keep you know, if you put a long sleeve shirt on in the sun, you're not going to get a sunburn. Right? Even though it's hot, it's not as hot as if you had that shirt off.
Yeah, I don't think that has anything to do. I think you're not getting a sunburn because you blocked your skin from being burnt. But we'll definitely have to look back on the thermal dynamics of sleeping bag sleeping, because I agree under normal circumstances, but when you're friggin' that cold, layer after layer after layer is what saves your damn life. It was cold. I wasn't getting undressed. That wasn't happening. No damn way. Anyhow, that's actually going to wrap it up for the first edition back of the Squatchers Lounge podcast. Get your gear out. Go through it all. Test it out before you leave. Make sure you have a metal pot to boil water in and the ability to start fire to make it boil. Those are the best suggestions I can give to you people. David?
Start with a lighter and then go to your, kitchen ferrocerium rod, or your, whatever it is that you're going to use, a car battery with, attached to your testicles, whatever it is that you're going to use to start that fire. Just heat, shelter, basic stuff, but you probably need some sort of, basic cutlery to make that happen. I'm not going to go all like bushcrafty on you, but a good knife and a good set of shelter and heat, and you're probably going to be okay. But again, there's those times, you run into, you're like, wow, wasn't prepared. What are you going to do then? Make a plan. Go for it.
That's right. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for us. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Bigfoot Campfire Story tomorrow. I'm not going to promise it at noon, but it will be out tomorrow. Another edition of the Bigfoot Entertainment Weekly on Monday night at 8 p.m. with your old pal, Wes. Find us on Facebook.com/S Lounge Podcast is the fan page. Facebook.com/groups/S Lounge is the group page. And don't forget the blog at squatchitall.blogspot.com. For the Dr. David Batdorf, pseudoscientist Esquire, I'm the Reverend Jeff. We say thanks for watching, and may the Squatch be with you. You ain't got to go home. Eat the dessert first. Grin like a dog. Pound your conch every single day. Dude, chunky soup in a canteen metal cup with a spoon on fire, bro. That's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm talking about. Wait, did this guy bring hand warmers and speakers?
Notice there's no snow. Thanks everybody for watching. See you guys.
Hot dogs.